This is Hunter Donelson with Caleb Allen, and we're going to talk some sports today. So let's jump right in. The 100th NFL season kicked off last night. Bears and Packers at Soldier Field. Low-scoring game, a lot of defense. What do you think about it?
I was interested to see Aaron Rodgers during that game. We've seen him as a quarterback in the past, someone that's very on the offensive side, throwing the ball deep. And I don't know, yesterday he just couldn't seem to get it on. It didn't really look like him in the past, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and that Bears defense was swarming. It seemed like every play he was either scrambling or getting sacked or just didn't have a whole lot of time to throw.
Yeah, Bears defense came out looking like just a different animal. Like, they looked like they were definitely ready to play, and it seemed like the offense for the Packers were really ready for that.
Yeah, and without those two big plays from Rodgers, I don't know how many points I really scored in this game. But I was surprised on how well the Packers defense played.
No, yeah, it was honestly really good on both ends. They both seemed like they brought it on defense. I just think Aaron Rodgers on the offensive side got a little more lucky than the Bears did.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes down to who's going to make a bigger play, Mitchell Trubisky or Aaron Rodgers, it's always going to be Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, veteran quarterback. He's obviously been in this spot.
Yeah, Super Bowl champion.
Yep. 100%.
So, yeah, and then news about Ezekiel Elliott's contract. He got 6 years, $90 million, $50 million guaranteed. I was more interested with Jerry Jones, the Cowboys owner, including a thing that says if he has any more off-the-field issues, they can void all of his guaranteed money.
Yeah, if I'm Zeke Elliott and I get word of that, I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah,
really.
right.
I mean, when you hear 6 year, $90 million, that obviously sounds really good, and then the $50 million guaranteed. I mean, that's obviously good. But I think hearing that your GM has issues with you as it is, and not trusting in what you're going to do this season or throughout the 6 years. I don't know how I'd feel if I was Zeke Elliott, honestly, during that.
Yeah. I mean, it's all on him though. I mean.
Yeah, no.
At this point, he either stays out of trouble, which he seems to not have been able to do very much, and keeps all of his money that he almost held out for, or he can, just.
That's one thing I've kind of noticed in sports recently is kind of, and I think it's especially in the NFL, we see players with God-given ability, best players in the league, Hall of Fame legends probably in the next 10 to 20 years, and we just see them constantly throwing that away by making bad choices. And I don't really know. I'm kind of interested to know like what's going through their thought process during that, because like what we see is like it's just right there for you, like Ezekiel Elliott, 6 year, $90 million, like it's right there. Like all you have to do is just not be stupid for 6 years. But somehow they manage to find a way to throw it away, like Antonio Brown, that we'll be talking about later. Manages to try. I think he's just trying to test his limits to see how he can throw away his career. I don't really know what's going through players' minds.
Yeah, I don't. It's definitely more common I feel like it's more common in the NFL than other sports typically.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure why.
I really don't know either. It's very odd.
It is. And then Tyreek Hill is another guy. It seems like he's been in trouble because how much publicity he gets, but he's of course been found innocent.
And I that might have to do with what why players. I can't answer why it's the NFL, but I think we don't see how much attention it brings and how much pressure it brings being an NFL player or just a pro athlete, knowing that you have so much like weight on your shoulders. Every move you make is like gonna affect your life.
Yeah.
So like. We see it as kind of like it should be easy, like they just have to play football. But I think there's just a lot more attention that it brings when you're a pro athlete.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to criticize people for making mistakes when they're making millions of dollars, like saying, "Oh, you're you're making all this money and you just want to throw it away. But really, it's just like a lot of it's just typical mistakes that so many people make.
Yeah, it's just on a bigger
just
platform.
Magnified, a lot
100%,
more.
100%.
But yeah, I mean, do you think he's worth the contract though? I mean,
Who, Tyreek Hill?
no,
Or
Ezekiel Elliott.
Ezekiel,
I mean, it's a 6-year
man.
extension to a
6 year. That I was surprised with the trouble he's gotten and why they would sign him to such a long 6-year contract. I mean,
and he still has 2 left too.
Yeah,
So we're talking about owing a 32-year-old Ezekiel Elliott $15+ million.
That's. I mean, that's kind of. I would expect that from like that kind of sounds like a quarterback contract.
Yeah.
Honestly, like 6 years, like, it's the arm's different than the legs, and I didn't really understand it because of the trouble he's gotten in, and they're gonna. I mean, the GM obviously has a lot of faith. Apparently in Ezekiel Elliott for signing a 6-year, $90 million, but he's also, you can see, he's pretty skeptical too.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know why he would have maybe gone like a 4-year. But I
and
think
also just the position he plays. Running backs, they come and go so quick.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, it's like really for many of them, once you hit like 30, 31 is where you start going downhill.
Yeah.
So I was more surprised about the extension of it.
Yeah, 100%.
Than I was the money, because I do think he's worth the money.
No, I agree with that.
Dak Prescott, they seem to believe in him. He's probably going to get an extension soon.
Yeah.
And he's a whole other player with Ezekiel Elliott on the field than he is off the field. He struggles a lot.
And like we talked about, like you mentioned that he's worth the money. I 100% agree with that. But like, I don't know why they can't go a 4-year.
There's a live phone in the building, and we are going to ping the phone. If you find this phone, take it to the main office.
All right, sorry about that. But I was very confused why they couldn't have done something like a 3 or 4-year deal that is like a lot of money, and like the money that he's worth, like the $90 million. I think that's a pretty average. That's a good cost for him.
Yeah.
But I wonder why they couldn't go like maybe $60 million 4-year deal. I think that makes more logical sense than 6-year $90 million.
It just makes you wonder how stubborn Ezekiel Elliott was going in also, because maybe Dallas started feeling the pressure that they needed to re-sign him or sign him to an extension, but he wouldn't take a 3 or 4-year deal. I don't really.
I could see that because we see it with Antonio Brown where he's making very bold moves to try to get what he wants, and I think Ezekiel Elliott probably could have taken that route with Dallas as well. I could easily see that.
So now this raises the question, because he's now the highest paid running back in the NFL. Is he the best running back in the NFL?
Oh man. I don't know. That's a really good question. Man, I could see it. I could see it. Maybe right now he could be. I could see the potential. You
have guys like Saquon Barkley, Le'Veon Bell coming back,
Barkley,
the uprising of Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara.
I definitely in 6 years. I could be completely wrong, but in 6 years, I do not see him being still the best running back in the league. I don't see that.
Wow.
I could not see Ezekiel Elliott being the best running back in 6 years. Maybe that's just me. I think Barkley's got a really good shot. He has a really good future.
Yeah.
That's who I could see being one of the best running backs in the
I probably
coming
agree
years.
with that.
But I think right now, Ezekiel Elliott's probably, I could see him probably being
I think
the best.
so too.
100%.
He's the all-time leader in yards per game right now. He's 101, I think, per game. They finally got him in the receiving game. They have him scoring more.
Yeah.
I don't know. I personally think he is the best running back in the NFL.
But do you think he is still going to be? Because you seem like you kind of thought he was going to be in 6 years.
I think it'll be kind of the same as it is. I think it'll be between him and Saquon Barkley. Yeah. If you're not the best, number 2 certainly isn't.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Isn't.
I think those two will
terrible.
be a battle for a while.
Yeah.
100%.
And then that also makes me wonder, what is Saquon Barkley going to get paid when he gets owed money?
Yeah, that. Honestly, you can just tell I'm more of a Barkley fan than I am a Zeke Elliott fan. I honestly think he could get paid more in the future.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, 100. I could see him just. I mean, they might even sign a 6-year with him.
Yeah.
Because I think he's the player that's worth it in the future.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these guys are kind of similar to Ezekiel Elliott and Saquon Barkley. They are able to produce the same with age. You look at Emmitt Smith, of course, he did it. Barry Sanders, had they been winning, I believe he could have done it for sure. But they're really very similar players, so maybe Ezekiel Elliott will be, maybe not. I'm not sure, really.
Yeah, and I think you just have to keep an account is that, like, in the next 4 to 6 years, running backs' legs start to deteriorate. You see random injuries, ACL tears. So I think that,
especially with how much they use Ezekiel Elliott a lot.
Yeah. So I think just over the next couple years, seeing what happens to their legs if they stay where they are, which I can't see happening because it's just not, you don't see it too often.
Which, I mean, and right now we're seeing it with Todd Gurley. They're talking about arthritic issues in his knee, and he's obviously, now he's the second highest paid running back, but earlier this offseason they were discussing a limited workload for him this year, and he's only, 25, I believe.
So how long has he been in the league?
I think this upcoming season, I believe it'll be his 4th year.
So, 4 years and he's already having problems.
Yeah.
I think it's
tore his ACL
crazy.
at Georgia.
Yeah, it's just crazy to see what running backs, like what the toll takes on them.
Yeah.
Just playing football for over this many years. And that could also bring up the question of, do you think the NFL season is too long for players?
Ooh.
I think that might be another question to bring up because you have positions like the running back position where I think the amount of games they play might be too much for them.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, for quarterbacks, I don't think for their arm, like, it's not that big of a deal because it's only once a week throwing. So yeah, that might be a question to bring up is, like, do you think the NFL is too long during the season?
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, that's a good point because back they used to play 12, 14 games.
Yeah.
And I feel like running backs did last longer. Jim Brown would be a good example.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean they're getting hit every play, unless they're not going to score every play. Yeah. So it's basically every time they get the ball, they're probably going to be getting hit, which isn't the case with really any other position.
Yeah, no, not really.
Receivers, if they don't get thrown to, they're probably not going to get hit. Quarterbacks, of course, you just don't see it. Yeah. And then,
should we move on to the Antonio Brown?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, this last week honestly has been, I mean, even you could say month has just been, seems like a complete disaster.
I would even go as far to say the last 3 or 4 months. The whole Pittsburgh situation was.
Yeah.
But specifically this last month with the Raiders has been.
Man. I mean, if you're Gruden, I mean, you've got to be pretty mad that. I think he was ready to build a culture there at the Raiders. And I think bringing in Antonio Brown, I think he was excited to bring that to the table. But then, these last couple weeks where he's only brought more drama to the team, obviously, and to the organization. I think if I'm Gruden, I'm pretty I'm a little upset that the guy I brought to the table, he was supposed to be my guy, and he's creating so much controversy around this organization. I think if I'm him, I'm pretty upset about him right now.
Yeah, I think there's major issues when you get as far as a heated argument with your team's general manager.
Yeah.
During a practice. I think that's, And
I think it's okay that you have problems with your general manager or you have problems with the coaching staff or stuff like that, but it's different when you have to make a scene of it and bring it to the public. Like,
Yeah.
there's definitely different ways to go about that. That's just maturity.
Yeah, like, he's kind of been playing, like, victim throughout this whole situation. I mean, saying when your own team wants to hate, but there's no stopping me now, devil is a lie, everyone's got to pay this year, so we're clear. I mean, I just think, like, he just feels like the world is against him for whatever reason. I'm not sure.
And it's like he just needs to get through his head that, like, he's the one bringing this upon himself.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like, honestly, I was a big Antonio Brown fan. I mean,
I was too.
But
I think a lot of people were.
Yeah, but, like, when you try to make it seem like you're playing the victim in this whole thing, it's made me honestly not be much of a fan of him anymore.
No,
I
not
still
at
think
all.
he's one of the top wide receivers.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
And I think people at this point don't like what he's doing so much that they just kind of completely ignore the fact that he's still a great receiver. I see it a lot now.
Yeah, but that's still his fault. That's the thing.
Yeah,
he's bringing this upon himself. Like, it's so bad that we're getting to the point where we're not even talking about his football ability. We're talking about, the drama that he's bringing on social media and the coaching staff and the GM.
Yeah,
he's bringing it all upon himself, and I don't.
Yeah, it's a daily thing with Antonio Brown too. I feel like
it's
every other day there's something new about
I get
him.
a show on Instagram every single day of Antonio Brown.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
So they announced that he's going to be playing week 1. Is that correct? Was that 20 minutes ago they announced?
Yeah, they did say he would play week 1.
It was quite so. Basically, before they thought that the GM had announced that he wasn't sure that they were going to play him. They thought they were going to suspend him, 1-game suspension.
Yeah.
But I guess 20 minutes ago, even earlier in today, they announced that, or Gruden announced that there's a possibility he is going to be shooting up week 1. Like that's the plan.
Yeah, which is kind of a surprise because, I mean, just yesterday Adam Schefter was reporting that there was a possibility he doesn't even play a single game for the Raiders ever.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about he's suiting up Monday night against Denver.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's a story behind that. Like, I'm kind of interested.
I know he apologized to the team, but I mean,
I'm gonna be interested.
At this point, I think you need more than an apology.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see how that breaks down.
Yeah, me too.
This whole season might be interesting with him.
Yeah,
or maybe he'll finally learn that.
And it's just such a perfect thing that the Raiders are on Hard Knocks this year.
It's honestly, it's perfect.
So we literally have a TV show.
Yeah.
Mainly focusing on Antonio Brown for the most part. And what I don't understand about this guy is that he's taking to Instagram, calling out your general manager for fining you for not showing up to mandatory training camp.
Yeah, and he even added the team, like the team's account. He added the Raiders, and I was like, man, you were just so
And then
stupid.
he unfollowed the Raiders and Derek Carr for whatever reason yesterday.
It's like I'm back in 5th grade.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, I don't follow you on Instagram anymore. I'm not your friend. I showed you. Like, just realize that you're 20 something. You're a man now.
31 now.
30. Oh,
yeah.
Jesus. I was way off. But anyway, you're a grown man, and I mean, you're acting like a child.
Yeah.
And it goes back to you're about to make millions. And
a complete drama queen.
Yeah. It's like he's like craving it right now.
Yeah, I mean, your team is starting to question whether they even want you anymore, trying to void your $30 million contract. Yeah. It's a
bit annoying.
Yeah, it is. It's ridiculous. Oh, shoot.
Okay, so next, so this might be a thing we do every week. So I want to start with Hunter this week. We're going to do some fantasy football starts and sits for this coming week. And so the first one I want to bring up, Patrick Mahomes versus the Jaguars. Are you starting or sitting?
Well, I think with a guy the caliber of Patrick Mahomes, I think he's probably a starter every week.
Yeah, no
matter
what. I was about
what.
to ask that, like, if you thought that he's going to play.
You
would start him.
I would he would be a permanent starter on my team.
And this isn't going along the lines of what we're talking about, but I'm kind of curious to see how Patrick Mahomes lives up to last season. Because I think there's honestly a lot of pressure building. I mean, if I'm in his situation, I'm thinking I have a lot of pressure on my shoulders.
Yeah.
Living up to the kind of season you had last
Right.
year, first year coming into Chiefs organization as a starter. Yeah, I'll be really interested to see how he plays.
Yeah, and I think, that's a tough too, because defenses now have more they can study on him.
Yeah.
But I think Patrick Mahomes is just so special that's not, I don't really see that as a big factor. I think he's just a playmaker in general. And I do believe he could put up close to the same numbers. Very few believe he could put up better numbers this upcoming year. I don't know if I'd go that far yet, but I think he'll definitely be able to get close.
I don't think he's going to live up to what he did last year, honestly, but I think he's still going to be a really, really good quarterback this year. I think, so I'm wondering if all the hype's going to build off of him a little bit from this year, knowing that how great he played last year. I think it's going to maybe look like he's not playing as well this year, when I think really he's going to put up really good numbers.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's expected for him to fall off a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't think it'll be as big of a deal if he does. And by fall off, I mean, we're still talking the top 2 or 3 MVP candidate. Yeah, I mean, that says enough right there.
I mean, as a Chiefs fan, I'm expecting him not to do as well this year.
Yeah.
But I'm still expecting him to be a really, really solid quarterback.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I definitely have. Yeah. I'd give him $200 million right now if we could.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to the next one. We have Matt Ryan against the Minnesota Vikings. Would you start or sit?
That's a really tough one. Of course, Minnesota's defense has been great for 3 or 4 years now. I just think Matt Ryan has weapons.
No, yeah. I think he's a sleeper, honestly. Right
Yeah, now. Oh, yeah. I think he's a sleeper almost every year.
Yeah.
He puts up consistently 4,000 yards, near 40 touchdowns. I mean, his last season, his numbers were better than his MVP year.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the ball, he had 6 defensive starters injured. So
yeah. I think he's one of those players that I think he's just really fundamentally sounded. And that, like, you compare him to someone like Patrick Mahomes, where he's more flashy on the run. I think that attracts more people. And while they're attracted, you have Matt Ryan over here that's kind of in the dark. But I think he's still going to put up good numbers this year.
Yeah, I mean, and Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley broke out last year in his rookie year. He's getting Devontae Freeman back at running back. Yeah. Austin Hooper at tight end. He's pretty solid. I think he could have a breakout year this year. I would probably start Matt Ryan against the Minnesota Vikings, but I would also still be a little bit cautious.
No, I would agree with that. I think you start him week 1. You kind of see what he does that week. Maybe even give him a second chance week 2.
Yeah.
But I think after those first 2 weeks, I think that's kind of when you can decide on someone like him if he's gonna be consistent quarterback in your starting roster.
Yeah, and in my situation, I have Derrick Henry on my fantasy football team, so he's been terribly inconsistent. Yeah. But I'm pretty confident in him going into this year, just because I think he showed what he can do when he gets carries. I'm pretty sure in the first 11 weeks of last season, he was averaging like 11 or 12 carries per game.
Yeah.
And then the last few weeks, he got 33, 20, 18, and he was going for over 100 yards, had a 200-yard game on it. So, I mean, like people like that, I just give a couple weeks, like you said, see what they can do.
Okay, and now we had more, but I think we'll just skip a few. We'll do Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill will Jalen Ramsey shadowing. Who do you like in this matchup with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey? So I think what the question would be is, like, if you had to choose either two to put in your position in fantasy, who would you put in there?
I think Patrick Mahomes is actually going to be a factor in this, of course, because he's Tyreek Hill's quarterback. But, see, that's a really tough one also because, I mean, Jalen Ramsey, I believe, is the best corner in the league.
Yeah.
But shadowing Tyreek Hill is what is the real factor. I don't know if he'll be able to keep up. I don't think anybody can keep up with Tyreek Hill.
No.
Last year, I know Tyreek burned him a couple times, had about 64 yards, I believe. I would start Tyreek Hill this week.
Yeah.
But again, kind of like the same thing with Matt Ryan, I would be cautious.
Yeah.
If you have another option close to Tyreek Hill's talent, I might take him depending on who it is. Somebody like Mike Evans, Keenan Allen. I'd probably start one of those guys over Tyreek this week, but I think just the big play probability with Tyreek Hill is too hard to ignore.
Yeah. I think he's more someone who's not going to be as consistent for the Chiefs offense.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he is, like, when there's time to make a big play, or he's just going to have little sparks in the offense. And I think he'd be a solid person to start with.
I mean, if you can get him deep with Mahomes' arm, you can get him in open space, he'll make a play. There's just so many opportunities for him to score, get a lot of yardage. I don't know. I would probably start him this week.
Yeah, I agree with that pick. And so now let's move on to Week 1 picks. This is for the Week 1 NFL regular season.
Mm-hmm.
So first, we'll start with the Rams and the Panthers. They're in Carolina.
I'm gonna go with the Rams here, just because I want to see how Cam Newton plays. The Rams, of course, have playmakers on their defense. It can get a little iffy sometimes, though.
Yeah, and speaking of the Panthers, I could see Cam Newton. I think this is going to be a big year for him.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he's he obviously not like Matt Ryan, but I think he's kind of like in the Matt Ryan situation where he's kind of been in the dark a little bit. And I think this year, I think this will be a really good year.
And then, also battling that shoulder injury last year didn't really help his case very much. This is the first time we're going to see a healthy Cam Newton since his MVP year. So I'm very interested to see what he does.
Yeah.
I just think the Rams' offense going against the Panthers' defense is what is going to put them over the top.
Yeah.
I would expect it to be a high-scoring game, though.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be a good game to watch. Next one, we have the Titans in Cleveland.
I'd probably go with the Browns. Mariota if he doesn't play well this year, he's a bust. If he's not already, he threw 11 touchdown passes last year with 8 interceptions, I think, maybe more than that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've kind of put him under the radar for the bust.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So, I would take the Browns, too.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham.
Yeah,
Nick Chubb.
Mayfield, I was so impressed with him last year. I know he didn't he didn't do anything super spectacular for Cleveland, but he definitely brought wins. That was the one thing he brought.
Yeah.
But I thought he was really solid last year. I think he's going to develop into a quarterback. I don't think he's going to be a great quarterback in the future. I don't think he's going to be anything like legendary.
Yeah.
But I think he's just going to be a really solid quarterback for the Browns in the future.
Yeah, and last year he struggled against winning teams.
Yeah.
I think he was 1-5 against teams with a win percentage of 500 or above. But the Titans don't fall in that category. So, and he also, of course, has more weapons.
Yeah.
I think the defense has improved. Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, with Mariota. You just have to. I think you have to pick Cleveland to win this.
Yeah. Next one, we got the Chiefs, and they're in Jacksonville.
I think this is going to be a great game, offense versus defense.
Yeah.
But I do believe that the offense will outweigh the defense. Much like last year, Mahomes didn't throw any touchdown passes. I think he ran for one, threw a couple interceptions, but the Chiefs still found a way to score points. So I don't really expect that to happen again this year, though.
Yeah.
I think Mahomes will come out hot just like last year.
I agree. I think the Chiefs are going to come out this year. I think they're going to have a little bit more fire under them.
Yeah.
In the first couple weeks, I think even though our defense, I definitely struggled.
Oh
last
yeah,
year,
yeah.
big time. I think just the Chiefs in general, offense and defense, are going to come out with a different kind of fire because I think they know what they're capable of having, as we saw last year. And I think they're just going to come out a lot differently.
And I'm interested to see how Nick Foles comes out.
Yeah.
I don't know if he could easily struggle. Just new team, first game. It helps to have Leonard Fournette back, but he's not very consistent either. So, and the Chiefs defense has improved a lot.
No, yeah,
I mean,
I was going to bring that up. Too,
yeah,
that I think this year they have definitely. Just seeing preseason, definitely big strides towards improving.
I mean, you get guys like Tyrann Mathieu and Frank Clark.
Yeah.
It's going to be good for you no matter what.
And so this is the one I'm kind of interested in. Ravens in Miami.
It depends on what form of Fitzmagic we get.
Yeah.
Or if we get Fitzmagic. Yeah. Last year, he came out really hot for Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And he could do it again this year. It seems to be a trend for him to have a few good weeks and then gas out. But I do think Lamar Jackson probably improved his throwing this offseason. They picked up Mark Ingram, which is a big pickup. Earl Thomas on the defensive side. I'm going to go with Baltimore on this one.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And so... we're kind of running a little bit on time, so we'll just do a little bit more rapid fire on this. So we have Falcons and Vikings. Who you got there?
I'm going to take Atlanta.
Man, I think I'm going to take the Vikings on this one. I don't know. I think their defense is going to be good.
Yeah, this could easily be the best game this weekend.
Yeah, 100%. Moving on, we have the Bills in New York.
I'm going to go with the Jets on this one. I think Le'Veon Bell for their offense is going to be great. I think Sam Darnold made some big steps forward this offseason.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Next, we have the Redskins in Philadelphia.
I'm going to take the Eagles simply because Washington doesn't really seem to know where they're going with their quarterback situation.
Just the whole organization.
Yeah, really. They have like 4 starting running backs right now.
Yeah.
Defense isn't really looking great.
No, it's fallen off since RG3.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
So now next we have the Colts in Los Angeles.
I'm going to take the Chargers simply because, Andrew Luck retired.
Yeah.
Jacoby Brissett's first game as a starter for the Colts.
That is something I think we need to talk about next time is the whole Andrew Luck thing.
Yeah, that was shocking. Yeah.
When I got it on my phone, I was
me too.
Really surprised. Next we have the Bengals in Seattle.
I'm gonna take Seattle on this one.
I think it's a no-brainer, honestly.
Yeah, Cincinnati is easily probably one of the worst teams in the league.
And then moving on to the Lions, they're in Arizona.
Oh, see, that's a tough one too. I'm gonna go with Arizona and Kyler Murray for this.
I think he'll be fun to watch
this
year.
I agree.
Honestly. Next, we have the Giants in Dallas.
Well, with Ezekiel Elliott playing, I think it's going to be Dallas by a mile, really.
I think even if Ezekiel Elliott wasn't playing, the Cowboys would still stomp them.
Yeah, I probably agree with that.
We have the 49ers in Tampa Bay.
I'm going to go with Tampa Bay, actually. I've always been really high on Jameis Winston. I think if he could stay on the field, he could become a great quarterback, much like Cam Newton.
Yeah.
And I do expect to see that this year.
And then our last one for Sunday, we have the Steelers in New England. I think that's going to be a good game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great game also. It's such an equal matchup almost.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm going to give the edge to New England just because they're at home. Tom Brady, of course.
Yeah, it pains me to say it, but
me too.
I honestly would have to go with New England too. I think they have the upper edge in this one. And then we have 2 Monday Night Football games. We have the Texans in New Orleans, and then the Broncos in Oakland.
Texans Saints is a really a really tough one to pick. I feel like there's a lot of great games this week.
I think it's a really good week 1.
Yeah.
We've got three games, maybe 4 that are kind of obvious on who I think
Mhm.
is just gonna win that game. But I think the rest, this is a really good week.
Yeah. I'm gonna give the edge to New Orleans.
Yeah,
It's hard to play in New Orleans.
No, really, I love their stadium.
Yeah, and then you have Houston's defense, kind of just Tyrann Matthews gone, Jadeveon Clowney traded.
Yeah.
I just think that they're not looking too great on the defensive side besides J.J. Watt right now.
Yeah. And then the Broncos and Raiders.
I'm gonna go with the upset here and go with Oakland.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Antonio Brown playing, I think that's huge. I think Josh Jacobs will have a great game in his debut. They added some pieces on the defense. LaMarcus Joyner is great. I don't believe in Joe Flacco very much.
No, yeah.
But Denver's defense is what would really.
That's honestly the only reason why I'd pick the Broncos. I think their defense is going to be really solid that night. But I think it's going to be a really good night to see throughout all this drama that we were talking about in AB and throughout the GM and the coaching staff. I wonder just how, in the end, how they're going to look as a team.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a really good game to watch.
All I know is Derek Carr better get him the ball.
Yeah.
Or else there might be even more drama that we're looking at.
And so let's this is going to shift gears just a little bit.
Yeah.
In the podcast, we're going to want to do something other than football, for sure. Because you can see, how long has it been?
35 minutes.
35
now.
minutes of just NFL football.
Yeah.
I think what we're wanting to do is incorporate more sports so it's not heavily one-sided.
And it'll get easier the farther we get. When NBA season starts, it'll be really fun.
Yeah, because right now, honestly, there's nothing else to really talk about.
Yeah.
So we picked 2 topics. We'll start with one. This is the NBA. So today reported Derrick Rose. He thinks that his former rookie year should be valued for the Hall of Fame race. He thinks that since he's been a rookie, and when he was at his prime, that was basically his prime.
Yeah.
When he was a rookie, his first couple of years, he's saying that should be taken into account when deciding whether or not he goes into the Hall of Fame. Because, he's fallen off since that injury.
Yeah.
Definitely not even close to the same player. And so,
nowhere near as explosive.
Yeah, no, not at all. So what do you think about that? Do you think he's going to go into the Hall of Fame? Do you think he should even be considered going into that? So what are your thoughts on that?
I think he should definitely be considered. And I honestly, at this point, think that he should be a Hall of Famer. I think the Basketball Hall of Fame values a little bit more than just accolades.
Yeah.
And the way he's been able to persevere through all this and continue playing. And right now he's actually improving a lot. I think he averaged almost 20 points a game last year.
Oh, yeah. Last year was a really good season for him, honestly. He definitely took big strides in last season's off season. I thought he came out really solid. He had that week where he was I think he had a 40-point game.
Yeah, it was a 50-point game.
Yeah, 50-point game. Yeah, and I think he was that week he consistently had 20, 30 points.
Yeah.
So I think he's making strides to come back.
We've seen flashes of the old Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
And I think Detroit was almost the perfect place for him to go just because I think he'll get a lot more opportunities. I think eventually, if he's not already, I think Reggie Jackson's still a starter there.
No, he is, yeah.
But I think eventually he'll become a starting point guard.
Yeah.
But, when you look at Rookie of the Year, youngest MVP ever, the way he's been able to persevere through all this, I think he'll be in the Hall of Fame.
And I even remember, was it 6th grade when that happened with that injury?
Yeah, I think it was, 6 or 7,
yeah. And I remember, because, I was a huge basketball fan, but, I was still in 6th grade, so, I wasn't, aware of how big situations were in sports.
Yeah.
And, even I knew whenever Derrick Rose got hurt in that big of an injury, I was, I was even shocked, and I was there's just no way he's ever going to come back from this.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'd have to agree. I think he's definitely should be considered into the Hall of Fame. But I can see it going either way. I don't know right now. It's just hard for me. I would have to think about it for a while, whether or not he should go into the Hall of Fame, because I think I think it should be accounted for what he did do, but I think it sometimes should be how it ends in your career. And so I wonder how these next couple seasons, if he's gonna. I think if he keeps improving like he is right now, I think he'll go into the Hall of Fame, because I think, like you mentioned, him bouncing back, the perseverance, coming back from something like that, and just to keep the grit and to keep going. Yeah, I think honestly, if he keeps improving, I think he'll be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and I mean, I was honestly, I was kind of annoyed with all the talk towards the beginning of this season because I feel like it's a topic that gets brought up a lot surrounding Derrick Rose. And I kind of was annoyed with it. I used to be annoyed with it. Now I think it's just kind of growing on me the way he's been able to just like bounce back from all this crazy like knee injuries.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think he'll definitely be considered for sure.
Yeah. And then the last topic of the podcast we'll be talking about is the Team USA. We've seen in the past the Team USA has been very, very dominant, with their basically super team stacked usually.
LeBron, KD,
but I think,
Carmelo.
Yeah, but what we've seen in the last few years is players sitting from that, not attending. And so what are your thoughts on people? I mean, I guess you could say not really wanting. It's not even. This can sound bad, but not wanting to represent their country.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
I just think I understand it for guys like LeBron James. You're getting older. You had your first major injury this last season, missing 21 games. I think you missed.
Yeah.
So you do want to prepare a little extra for the season coming up. But for guys like, Damian Lillard to drop out, I don't really see why. I understand preparing for next year and how it could be a big year for basketball because it's one of the more balanced NBAs we've had.
It really is.
In a long time.
I'm so excited to watch the NBA this year.
I am too, but I just wish more superstars would have played this year because they're kind of struggling a little bit. There's a lot of 2-year players, 3-year players.
It definitely does not look like what it used to look like. They're definitely not as dominant.
Yeah, no.
And I think when you brought up, you don't want to get injured, do you remember who the player was that had snapped his leg?
Paul George. Yeah.
I think, honestly,
that was a
looking on that,
moment.
I can now see why players would not want to play after watching that incident.
That was just a scrimmage, too. Yeah, it wasn't even a real game.
Yeah, and it's just silly stuff like that can turn into something. And Paul George has bounced back.
Yeah.
100%. I think he's coming back into the player he used to be.
Yeah.
But you can still tell that he's not there yet to where he was before.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people wouldn't be able to bounce back from something like that.
No.
I think Paul George is just a different
breed.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And so, I think I can see why players are skeptical of wanting to play.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Guys like even Jason Tatum, he's going to miss the next few games because he sprained his ankle,
Yeah.
Just little stuff like that adds up. So yeah, I mean, I completely understand why people don't. I always had fun watching the crazy, ridiculous teams that the Team USA put together.
Yeah, it was definitely entertaining to watch.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Yep.
So yeah, I guess we'll see you guys next week with another sports podcast.